Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. I'm thrilled to welcome you to IFC's first digital pharma webinar. I would like to introduce our panelists and our moderator who you will be hearing from. This panel will be moderated by Karina Fitchard, a senior investment officer with IFC in our Latin America region. We will be joined by a panel of three, which will include Sabir Basak, our IFC Senior Industry Specialist, who will start and open up this webinar by framing the conversation with with an overview of trends within the industry and digitalization within the pharma industry. And then you'll hear from two of IFC's wonderful clients, Erica from Europharma and Gabrielle from GFI. And they're so kind to join us and talk to us about their experience of digitalizing and their organization and their pharma organizations. So hopefully this will be helpful for all joining, and we'll look forward to an interesting panel discussion. Please note that we have interpretation available, which is to say that you can listen to this discussion in either English or in Spanish. If you see the bottom right, there's a globe. If you select the globe icon, you can select which language you want to listen to the conversation in. Also, please, when the webinar ends, you'll receive a survey. Please fill it out. And note that there is a chat icon, and in this chat icon, you can introduce yourself, which country you're from, and which company you're joining from. And also next to the chat icon is a Q&A icon. Feel free to ask your questions, and we'll be responding either at the end during the Q&A session or directly in the chat. Looking forward to this conversation. And at this point, I will hand over to the IFC Senior Industry Specialist, Sabir.
Thank you, Miriam. And on behalf of IFC, I would like to again say a very warm welcome and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants who have joined. So it seems it's 90 people. What I'd like to talk about is our industry is one of the most fascinating in terms of what the size is and how the growth of change and pace of change is happening. We represent a $2.5 trillion industry in the global economy. And approximately digital spends for operating companies are about 6 to 10% of revenues. And in our industry, that is a big chunk that is driving many things in terms of transforming the business, being able to adapt with pandemic disruptions, and being able to not only run the business, but also grow the business in making sure the industry meets the demands of growing disease burdens, including NCDs, meets the supply chain challenges, and be able to also create roadmaps and navigate new technologies and adapt and adopt them into the company. One of the things we have been seeing is that the more the frequency of interaction and discussion about digital or technology in the boardroom or in the senior management, the more the ability to be able to reduce technology risks, cybersecurity risk, being able to digitally innovate and get a good higher return on investment. So going to the next slide, we see that the digital core is becoming more and more in gathering disparate, different sources of information, bringing it to the operating dashboard and being able to make quicker and more rapid decisions. So, for example, the speed of innovation, which is the ability to discover, develop new drugs, new molecules using AI, So for example, AlphaFold 2, it's a AI tool to be able to unblock and understand mechanism of action with the ability to process complex structures and being able to look at trillions of structures and develop a proper molecule that goes into a scaffold and gets a higher efficacy with a very high safety, that is able to allow the industry to develop new drugs faster. Similarly, the ability to understand customer needs in various areas and combining them in, for example, metabolics or cardiovascular, and coming with better outcomes is being able to help the industry develop new molecules. So I think going to the next slide, we see that there is a lot of opportunity to be able to use digitalization. This slide talks about 4 different pillars. And definitely we have seen the commercial aspect through Salesforce excellence, or a highly specific interaction with the patient and doctor to be able to understand, diagnose the patient early and give them the more optimal treatments, or even the supply chain disruptions that have happened in terms of understanding the raw material need and how a company is being able to have a very solid procurement and distribution strategy. So these are some of the things that are helping. One of the things we can learn from the technologies industry is that a company like Google, 25% of the coding is actually starting to happen via AI itself. So that tells you tremendous amount of efficiency and speed being added in an exponential manner for the technology industry. And our pharma industry and biotech industry is also very strongly adapting the same. Next slide. So as we look at various companies within our sector, we try to analyze in the maturity level, where does a company sit? Most of us in the companies would like to think we are often in the advanced champion stage, highly mature in terms of our ability to use digital technology and being able to be on that side. But when we assess using our online surveys or even face-to-face discussions, we are often humbled to see we may actually think we are in an advanced or champion stage, but we are probably a little bit more on the left side. And that is the beauty about this particular service that we provide our clients to be able to assess. Going to the next slide. We see the benefits of this when we have conversations with various departments that are looking at the entire spectrum of the value chain, from purchasing to inventory management to order fulfillment through sales and marketing and billing. We are seeing that there is room for improvement in each and every specific department, and therefore creating a stronger ability to use less capital to be able to give more. Finally, going to the next slide, what you will see is that we are able to see a differently exponential adoption of digital technologies in terms of being able to interact with customers, being able to operationalize our data needs in the cloud, being able to get more automation into the hardware and talk to the software. So that is actually being able to drive efficiency and command a higher return on various investments. Going to the next slide. I think this was also lastly an example of how diverse the opportunities are to be able to use digital technology into various areas. Most notably here, I would like to highlight the commercial effectiveness, being able to see the productivity of the sales force, as well as being able to engage the customer in a very strong omni-channel manner, to be able to identify them, to be able to address their needs with efficient treatment options, and be able to manage the overall life cycle. So with this, I have given you some insights into how we see the digital world transforming and creating opportunities for more transformation happening, so that our industry can continue to adapt itself, adopt new technologies, and stay in top shape as we continue to contribute to the global economy. With this, I would like to also mention that in a recent survey, we are seeing more and more board members, CEOs, owners, and senior executives play a bigger and bigger role in discussing digital aspects. Last thing I would like to mention is that the key reason for failure of implementation of digital transformation is not the technical aspect. It is the failure to address how to change and organize and manage change management. How do you get people in the organization to think differently so that they can adopt, prepare, and bring and incubate this into their very departments on a day-to-day basis. So with that, I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Karina Ficard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Subir. Thank you, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. My name is Carolina Fita de Miranda. I'm based in São Paulo, Senior Investment Officer at IFC, and I lead our pre-investment upstream and advisory practice for Latin America and the Caribbean in the services sector that include all the digital transformation products that we have for the several industries, including the healthcare industries. I'm very glad to greet you today. And with me, two key panelists from distinguished institutions in Latin America. So please welcome Erika Menezes. Erika is the head of digital innovation and new ventures at Europharma. Europharma, for those of you who are not familiar with the company, is a leading manufacturing pharmaceutical company headquartered in Brazil and with operations in almost 20 countries across Latin America and the Caribbean. Erika is a seasoned professional, having worked in different companies in the industry, and an expert in business strategy, marketing, and digital innovation. Welcome, Erika. I would also like to welcome Mr. Gabriel Crespo. Gabriel is the Chief Executive Officer of Pharmanova Intermed Group, which is a leading distributor and retailer in the pharmaceutical sectors across Central America. The group is based in Costa Rica, and Gabriel really brings a very diverse expertise in different executive positions in different countries such as Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina, Costa Rica, Peru. So he's a master in adapting to different settings, and he certainly knows a whole lot about digital transformation. He certainly has a master's in digital transformation and has been a key champion in the DigiPharma projects that the IFC team undertook with his company recently. So I wanted to essentially raise a few questions so that both Erika and Gabriel can share how their experience has been with the DigiPharma engagements that we executed with their companies. And I would like to start for each of them with general questions around their vision and strategy. So starting from the very basics, and maybe starting with you, Erika. How do you define digital transformation in the context of your industry?
Yeah, thank you, Karina. Thank you so much for the invitation. Also, I'm very happy and glad to be here with you today. So, digital transformation definition is it's quite broad, but I would then take a modern definition to say that digital transformation is much more than adoption of digital technology within the company. this should be actually very important, relevant to change how the organization operates, the way the organization is planning to create value with the different stakeholders. And also this is strategic adoption, looking to deliver experience to consumers and with all the stakeholders around the pharma company, just like the doctors and the institutions we are connected with. But I would just reinforce the message that digital transformation is not just implementing the technology, but it's much more I would say I forgot the words, I'm sorry, but the impact that this technology brings to the company, right? So we aim to drive agility, exactly, to drive agility, innovation, efficiency. Yeah, just to start.
Super. No, and we will go into implementation question and the customer experience. Turning to you, Gabrielle, what is your vision of digital transformation and what are the main goals that you aim to achieve through the digital transformation process in your company?
Buenos días, gracias Karina, gracias Subir por la introducción. Hola Erika, ¿cómo estás? En realidad, para nosotros, bueno, un poco complementando lo que decía Erika antes, en realidad la transformación digital es un cambio cultural. Iniciamos por allí. Es un cambio cultural, es el poder transicionar de una empresa que hacía las cosas de una manera hacia otra. Pero importantísimo entender que primero es una transformación de la forma de pensar, una transformación de la forma de hacer y en último caso, utilizar la tecnología en vías de ello. ¿Cuáles son los goles principales, los objetivos principales a satisfacer? Nosotros los tomamos desde 3 puntos de vista. El primer punto de vista, eficiencia operativa, por supuesto. El entender que hay procesos operativos continuos, secuenciales, que pueden ser automatizados, que pueden ser repetitivos y que pueden ser hechos por máquinas y no por personas. Eso es importantísimo. Esto en vías de ser más eficientes. Entendemos todos a nivel global cuánto cuesta la mano de obra y cuán cara puede volverse en el tiempo. Al fin y al cabo buscamos preservar plazas de trabajo y familias que viven de nuestros trabajos. Si crecemos en la capacidad laboral, al final las empresas tienden a perder valor. La segunda parte, después de poder automatizar procesos operativos, la segunda parte es poder tener mayor dominio de entender lo que el cliente o los mercados necesitan. En caso de nuestro negocio, nosotros trabajamos para clientes finales a través de nuestro retail, para minoristas, farmacias y cadenas de farmacias a través de nuestra distribuidora, pero también para laboratorios a través de nuestra representante de laboratorios en todo Centroamérica y el Caribe. En ese sentido, el poder tener toda la data de un mercado centroamericano y el Caribe y poder analizarla y entender mejor el mercado implica muchísima información que sin la transformación digital, sin la correcta sistematización de la data, nos sería imposible conocer bien el mercado. El poder seguir trabajando de instinto es imposible. La segunda. Y la tercera, y quizás la más importante, el poder llevar la transformación digital hacia el uso de tecnologías que nos permitan tener un equilibrio correcto de la calidad de vida de nuestros funcionarios. Funcionarios que en otro momento se quedaban no 8, sino 10, 12 horas en la empresa trabajando en la sistematización de datos, en el análisis, en el Excel, en el Access, ¿no es cierto? Estamos buscando llevarlos hacia una mejor calidad de vida y hacia un poder ejecutar su trabajo desde el lugar donde se sientan más cómodos. Para ello, evidentemente, antes de eso tienes que poder medir su trabajo, antes de eso tienes que poder entender su trabajo, poner los KPIs necesarios de su trabajo y entender esta transformación digital como un todo cultural. Por eso digo, al final el proceso tiene que ver con tecnología, pero como decía Erika, es quizás el último eslabón. El primer eslabón es poder entender en qué grado estás, cómo puedes cambiar culturalmente y cómo puedes adaptar esas herramientas a tu necesidad en el día a día.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. And definitely before you digitize a process, you need to have a process in place, right? And understand the interaction of the different stakeholders. That's excellent. Before we go into implementation and general challenges, I would like to hear from the two of you your vision for the next 5 years. So in terms of digital transformation of your company, and this is something that we worked on together in the context of the DigiPharma engagement, where do you see your company from a digital transformation standpoint 5 years from now? Do you want to start, Gabriel?
Oh, I will start here then. Yeah.
Okay.
One very important thing that Gabriel just bring to us is about the culture. So culture is, again, very important and relevant. It's nothing to be forget it. It's something that it should be in the core for sure. Thanks, Gabriel, to bringing this topic on. About the vision. So after DigiPharma, we started to not just put in place a digital vision for the company, but also to have every 3 months just making the management of those KPIs and bringing to action, the vision to action. So what we have is structured the teams and also all the initiatives on the cultural basis. I mean, trainings, we put in place a digital committee so we could have a good governance of all those processes, right? So about the vision, Karina, what we have been working a lot here is not just for the future, so long-term definition, but also working in some low-hanging fruits initiatives. So we try to balance, because this is one of the big challenges. We are going to talk about the challenges also, is to how to balance the results that we have to bring from the digital transformation right now, and something that we do know that the strategy is long term, that we are not going to have the result at the first time of implementation. But about the vision, to your question, we would love to be pioneer on digital innovation in the pharma sector for sure. So we want to lead innovation, and for that we have different channels to interact with startups, hubs, and other technology companies to drive those improvements on customer experiences, and also for sure to scale all the enhancement we want to have in the efficiency in operations. And also when we talk about efficiency, we think a lot about production and operations. But Gabriel also told we have to think about the stakeholders of the company in the different areas, and we can bring digital tools also to bring them a better life in the at work, right? So bringing tools so their lives is even better, not just operation, but also strategical. No? We want to scale for sure data capabilities. So after DigiPharma, it was for us very clear the importance to have just one source of data in the company and to have better insights and strategy through those data is something we are envisioning. We want for sure to accelerate digital new business. That's something that I'm responsible here by Europharma. So why not having revenue from specific digital new solutions, and not just for efficiency, but bringing new business to the place, to the core business. So this is the vision, efficiency, innovation, and why not new revenues through digital innovation.
Excellent. Thank you, Erika. How about you? What do you see? Where do you see the main goals in the next 5 years for Pharmanova, Gabriel?
Es interesante la pregunta y quiero citar a Subir. Miren, nosotros tenemos un grado importante porque, por ejemplo, por la pandemia, nuestro retail desarrolló su e-commerce y tuvo éxito. ¿No es cierto? En este momento, nosotros tenemos en nuestra empresa de representación, hacemos visita médica en pueblitos de Centroamérica donde no llega un visitador médico, lo hacemos a través de una representación digital y utilizamos también IA para eso. Sin embargo, cuando hace 1 año y medio entra DigiPharma a nuestra organización, nos hace la evaluación con la encuesta y con el análisis que comentaba Subir, nos damos cuenta que estamos en una etapa inicial. Nosotros que nos creíamos muy digitales, ojo, nuestra compañía hace 21 años ya compró su primer ERP y ya nos sentíamos súper modernos, ¿no es cierto? Pero con DigiPharma logramos entender nuestro estadio actual, cómo estábamos, y nos dimos cuenta que estábamos totalmente iniciales. Nuestra primera estancia, nuestra primera decisión en el año 24, ahora mismo, fue cambiar todo nuestro core tecnológico. Definitivamente, esos 21 años, gracias a nuestro ERP, nos dio un buen servicio, pero ya no va más. Necesitábamos tener otras habilidades críticas en el core para poder ensamblar IA, para poder ensamblar nuevas herramientas de una forma segura, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, primero, cambio cultural por arriba, también detectado por DigiPharma, y por debajo, cambio del core tecnológico. El primer gran objetivo, Karina y queridos amigos, es entender que no estamos bien y que tenemos que seguir avanzando. El segundo, tomar decisiones firmes. A menudo, cuando estás en una posición como la mía de CEO, esas decisiones cuestan mucho dinero. Entonces, entender cómo proyectar esa decisión al futuro y cómo recobrar esa información, entendiendo que también es un cambio cultural. A partir de allí hacia adelante, ¿cuáles son los objetivos? Poder ganar las habilidades críticas a mediano y largo plazo que nos permitan ser competitivos, no solo a nivel Costa Rica y región Centroamérica Caribe, sino a nivel global. Y eso es a través de poder potenciar el talento de nuestra gente generando tecnología que los apoye. Ojo, que ya les dije que estamos innovando con visita médica a distancia con IA. Ojo que tenemos un e-commerce consolidado. Ojo que tenemos un ERP que está funcionando y que estamos usando mucho dato. Sin embargo, no tenemos la solidez. Entonces, en realidad estamos trabajando en ello, en madurar técnicamente, culturalmente, para afrontar este gran desafío que significa ser competitivos globalmente. No solo por el grupo de compañías, son 13 compañías, sino por los clientes de Centroamérica, el Caribe y ojalá el resto de Sudamérica, ¿no es cierto? El tema es necesariamente que tienes que tener un norte y DigiPharma específicamente lo que nos dio fue las dos cosas. Primero, el entender dónde estamos y segundo, un claro roadmap a seguir, que es conceptual, by the way, es conceptual porque depende de la gobernanza de la compañía o de las compañías en mi caso, quien lleva eso adelante. Por difícil que parezca, es ceñirse a un guión y ir tomando las decisiones correctas. Ese sería el camino hacia el futuro, no tan provisorio, uno quisiera poder rentabilizar esto al día siguiente, pero no, es un camino a seguir y es un camino cultural y tecnológico.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. And for those of you who are not so familiar with the DigiPharma process, it's exactly what Gabriela and Erica just described. So we start with a strong discovery phase, a baseline assessment to really understand where the company is. And as Gabriela was saying, in certain dimensions, both of the company were very advanced, right? Already incorporating some artificial intelligence, already having hub for startups internally. And in other dimensions, a little bit less. So I think really taking stock in the different dimensions and the different departments of what is the starting point of the company, and then jointly with the company, help them define what is their strategy from a digital transformation perspective. This is not about the tool, this is not about software. This is about what is the strategy and the vision of the company, and how can digital transformation help the company get there? And what is the roadmap to get there? So I think this is very important point that you just raised, Gabriel. So now going to the different stakeholders, maybe let's start with probably one of the most important one, which is the clients, the customer, right? And so when we think about the customer experience and the customer engagement, which I think is critical to both your businesses, how has digital transformation changed your approach to customer experience or to customer engagements? Do you wish to start, Erika? And I know you have several categories of customers that you're dealing with at Eurofund. So if you can
Exactly. It's very complex. And as Gabriel also brought to us, that's a big challenge because this is one of the topics that we have to improve every year in every step. Because we have the doctors and our big challenge is how to be closer with them with a relationship that we add value to them. And the digital transformation came not just with investments on telemedicine, for example, or digital tools that can bring information and the connection relationship between the pharma company and between Europharma and the doctors, but also as we don't have a huge portfolio on consumer health, we have a challenge how to be more close to the patients, right? So we are starting the first initiatives. It's something that we have discovered with you, with the DigiPharma process also, how to approach the patients, because we had always the doctors as the first relationship connection, I would say. So we are really focused on long-term, looking to digital therapeutics. And so this has a lot with connection with our values. So if we have pills and other treatments, medical treatments, right? So why not bring the digital knowledge to bring the solutions to patients also? So, but this is for sure something more connected with the long term. What we have been done right now is how can I have a customer experience when they call us to understand the way they take this treatment or anything they feel after the treatment, so we can be much more efficient. So not giving them time to wait for a response. So we are implementing AI for this customer experience during the calls, emails, and so on. And we are planning to also to implement our e-commerce, so we have a bit more relationship and understand the consumer behavior. But we have a lot to implement and to learn, much more to learn, I would say, Karina, in these terms.
Sorry, I'm in mute. Thank you so much for this answer, Erika. And now talking about your customers, Gabriel, which are a little bit of a different nature than the ones that Europharma deals with. Can you help us understand how digital transformation has changed your approach to the customer? How customer-centric is your digital transformation strategy?
Ok, bueno, como yo les había comentado, el nivel de nuestras compañías tiene algunos niveles de clientes, socios, laboratorios, como Europharma, que también es nuestro cliente socio. Tuve el gusto de estar en Europharma hace 2 semanas en Sao Paulo. Es maravillosa tu empresa, Erika, felicidades. Estuve en su centro de innovación, es maravilloso, de verdad es inspirador. También tenemos clientes, cadenas de farmacia y farmacias independientes, y también tenemos a través de nuestro retail clientes finales, que son pacientes y también veterinarias y animales, ¿no es cierto? O sea, tenemos un grupo muy ampliado y diversos tipos de clientes. Hay muchas formas en que utilizamos la tecnología y utilizamos los datos para poder comunicarnos, pero quizás si pudiera dar una anécdota, poder entender un poco de cómo utilizamos para generar valor esto. Me pongo a pensar en un proyecto que tenemos que es importantísimo. Cuando ustedes quizás en el resto del mundo pasen en algunas zonas en vías de desarrollo, todavía existen las cadenas independientes, las farmacias independientes. Son pequeñas unidades de negocios familiares donde hay una venta de la familia depende de la venta de su pequeña farmacia, ¿no es cierto? Para ellos, ustedes comprenderán que uno de los factores clave, uno de los drivers más clave para sustentabilidad del negocio es la compra adecuada. ¿Sí? O sea, comprar bien para poder vender bien, ¿no es cierto? Una de las cosas que pasa cuando nosotros somos socios de muchas casas representantes, por ejemplo, laboratorios como Europharma u otros laboratorios, es que evidentemente al ser socio te ciñes a un contrato y a intentar proveer con esos medicamentos a las farmacias. Sin embargo, también le debemos al laboratorio la capacidad de poder entregar lo que la farmacia independiente necesita para poder hacer negocio. Entonces, entender ese portafolio comercialmente ganador para poder transmitir la información al laboratorio y poder decirle, mira, esto se vende bien, esto no se vende mejor, hay que hacer más visita médica al respecto, hay que hacer más promoción al respecto, para poder generarle a esa pequeña unidad de negocio que salva la vida, el poder generar un portafolio rentable, un portafolio comercialmente activo, es sin duda vital. Y para eso hay que analizar datos. Entonces, nuestro proyecto dentro de este año 25 es justamente poder llegar a ese equilibrio de portafolio que nos permita utilizar la data para llegar con una propuesta de valor eficiente para el punto de venta, en este caso la farmacia independiente, pero también para nutrirnos de información para que nuestro socio laboratorio pueda activar tanto sus representantes médicos como también, ¿por qué no?, llegar a la innovación para estos mercados que son mercados a lo mejor terciarios, mercados que requieren un apoyo. Recuerden que también nuestra misión como suplidores de servicios acá en Centroamérica, el Caribe y Latinoamérica es accesibilidad al medicamento. Y estas farmacias independientes, quizás unifamiliares, juegan un rol muy importante. Me imagino que en el resto del mundo habrá muchos lugares así. Entonces, esa es una de las formas en que utilizamos el dato. Ahora, con los clientes retail, normalmente, clubes de fidelización que te generan una capacidad de entender cómo consume el cliente, generar mejores cestas dentro de los puntos de venta, desarrollar a lo mejor estos programas de cliente frecuente que te permiten generar alertas de toma de medicinas para los crónicos, que te generan ofertas para determinados productos que son cross-sell de otros productos para protección hepática, qué sé yo, donde se pueda promover, y donde no se pueda promover, dar un gentil consejo sobre salud. Además, evidentemente, el poder adelantarnos también a determinadas situaciones que pueden pasar. Por ejemplo, salud mental. Sabemos que el estrés va cambiando las normas del mundo y creo que nosotros como empresa de salud también tenemos que adelantarnos. Entonces, adelantarnos con nuestros puntos de venta a poder generar a los determinados clientes, porque los conocemos gracias a los datos, con consejos de salud mental, con otro tipo de información y comunicación que nos permita, a través del conocimiento de quiénes son, generarles en punto de venta o directamente a través de mails y ese tipo de cosas, información valiosa para que ellos puedan cuidarse. Creo que sin duda la digitalización, la transformación de la data en información que genera valor, nos pone en un lugar protagónico para generar justamente esa ayuda y generar salud, que al fin y al cabo es el propósito número uno de nuestra empresa y nuestro grupo empresarial.
Thank you so much. I think you both mentioned some very relevant highlights and very relevant insights. It's not the data for the data. In some cases, it can develop into a new business line, as Erika was mentioning, but the core of the data and making sure that you have clean data that you can use for decision-making are certainly to have more impact on your manufacturing, on your distribution, on your retail, and on the patients at the end of the day, right? I think Gabrielle kindly shared some very interesting examples as to how accurate data management and accurate demand planning can help improve the life of the pharmacy, right? And the small family managing the pharmacy. It's also the case in manufacturing, right? I think everybody who is involved in manufacturing knows how challenging it is to have good market intelligence and good market planning to make sure that you produce what you need to produce at the right time, right? And that you make sure that the portfolio of products that you have are what the population needs today and tomorrow, right? So certainly data from that perspective is very critical to make sure that there is adequate production, adequate access to the right products for the population. So that's certainly a very, very fair point that I wanted to highlight. So that's about the client. Now, if we go to another category of stakeholder, you briefly mentioned the impact that this can have internally and even improving the quality of life of some of your employees, right? So I want you to talk about a little bit this cultural shift, right? The cultural shift and the impact on employees. What measures are you taking to promote internally the cultural shift to make sure that your employees are on board and so that they understand that this is not about putting another software for them to learn about, but that this is something much deeper and that you need everybody's participation for the process to work, right? And I think this is a very critical point that we certainly discuss a lot in the context of the DG Pharma engagement, which is all the cultural change management, involvement of the different units of the business to understand what is the impact of what they do on the other colleagues. So I don't know if you can comment briefly, maybe Erika, you can start with how you're handling this cultural shift over time at Europharma to make sure that it's not only a question of top management, but that the employees are effectively on board.
Sure. I think it's very important to highlight, Karina, that we are not at this stage that we say we do it perfectly, but I can already see an evolution the last 3 years with small initiatives, because we are talking about people. It's not just pressing a button and then we have the change of all the organization. As you said, it's not just the board, but we are talking about all the company in all. So I would say the things that we have done that is working very well. The first one is communicate the vision clearly for all the company. So it's important that it's not just the directors or managers, but all the company understand why do we have a digital vision and why are we working on specific initiatives? Why is relevant and important to take part of some engagements activities we do with innovation and digital. So if we have this knowledge in all the company and the vision normally here by Europharma, we have stamped in different rooms here, meeting rooms, and also we do twice a year a campaign. So the people to not having their milestones for their specific department, but having the vision for the company and how we can collaborate with each other to this main goal. So communication is very important. Then what we have done in the last 2 years, this is a result from DigiPharma also, we are just running research with different stakeholders, not just top management, but also the operation people who is really doing a lot and hard job. So producing our products, and they don't have the computer or any other digital tool that we normally have at the office. So we have to think about how bring the message to them, how engage them to produce even better so we can personalize the solution for the customer. That's our future vision. So it's a lot of work. We have to engage a lot of people to do this, and this is something that I do believe it's not going to the end. So it's not just one time. It's something we have to do frequently. The other thing that's very important, not just bringing innovation, thinking about the future, is something that is too it's the future, so you cannot materialize it right now. So bringing innovation to the daily basis. So thinking how much paper we still using for the production, for example, and we have implemented technology to digitalize things. So we have much less errors on the or pitfalls on the production line, or for example how we are using also the call center with our customers and patients. We were just noting this, and now we use AI so they can capture the information. Then you as a person can give your attention to other person that you are hearing. So it's very small, but it makes really a lot of impact, right? Something that I'm working a lot and very strong with my teams here is also about the strong governance. Why? Because before we implement the digital solutions, as Gabriel also told, we have a finite, it's not that we have a lot of money, just no, we have to control what we are investing because we have to see the return on these investments. So having this governance, understanding what is the KPI before the implementation, what we are tracking on the time is very important. So not just the top management, but all the company can see the value through this digital solutions, right? I think this is the main. I could talk 1 hour about this because it's really challenging things, but engaging people and bring them to the decision also. So the digital committee, we have more the top management, but what we have shifted this year is reinforcing the message that the top management needs to communicate to their teams after the committee. So all the company has the same information about where we are going, what we need to change, what we have to do it better in the governance of the KPIs and so on. So
Exactly.
communication is very important.
Communication is key. No, absolutely agree. And for everyone to know, in the context of the DigiPharma engagement, this is certainly a very collaborative approach where we make sure that we interview and that we have everybody joining the sessions. So people from the different teams. I remember some sessions, right, Gabriel, in San Jose, where it was 40 people in the room. Very big rooms as well with Europharma, with 40, 50 people, all communicating, interacting, and discussing together what should be the initiatives, how should they be incentivized, etc. So from your perspective, Gabriel, what do you do internally at Pharmanova to ensure this cultural shift is underway, to get your employees on board? And what do you think are the main skills and leadership qualities to get that done?
Bueno, yo tengo que ser muy honesto en el hecho de que no les puedo dar una fórmula porque estamos en ello. Vamos a ver si esto funciona, primero. Pero bueno, lo voy a dividir en 3 puntos específicos. Primero, el liderazgo. Estamos imponiendo o estamos llevando un liderazgo muy horizontal, un liderazgo muy participativo, un liderazgo muy abierto, desde mi misma posición como director del grupo, los directores y los gerentes, puertas abiertas, desarrollo de un diálogo muy franco, muy honesto sobre los beneficios y sobre las ventajas que tiene afrontar estas implementaciones con entusiasmo. Eso primero. Sin embargo, lo segundo, que es el cambio cultural, viene de la mano de que podamos entender y que nuestra gente ha llegado a entender los beneficios que traen en sus propias vidas. Esto, lo que hablábamos al principio, el equilibrio hogar-trabajo se ve recompensado con la implementación. Quiero decir que no hemos implementado nada o no vamos a implementar nada, y así se está haciendo, sin que en línea paralela al proyecto tecnológico no haya un proyecto de gestión cultural. O sea, nada absolutamente. De hecho, por ejemplo, nuestro proyecto en este momento, que es la implantación de un nuevo ERP, está de la mano. El proyecto se llama Fénix y Fénix tiene 2 partes. Una parte ERP, otra parte gestión cultural, gestión de cambio. Así de simple. Si no lo hacemos así, no va. Y eso tiene que ver con los beneficios que puede traer esto para la vida personal y la vida comunitaria en la compañía. Ese es el segundo paso. El tercer paso es lo inevitable. Pensemos a futuro. En 10 años, el 70 u 80% de la fuerza laboral que existirá será centennial, con otro tipo de principios, otro tipo de valores, otro tipo de incentivos requeridos. Para ellos no hay un lugar fijo de trabajo, para ellos no hay valor en ciertas cosas que para nosotros todavía tienen valor. Entonces, el poder adaptarnos a generar fuentes de empleo, modos de trabajo, formas de realizar o generar valor de una forma diferente, aplicándose o adaptándose a sus necesidades, es vital. Si no empezamos hoy esa transformación cultural desde el management, como decía Erika, que es importantísimo, el compromiso con el presente inmediato y futuro, con un compromiso hacia saber cómo va a reemplazarse o cómo va a ir cambiando nuestra fuerza laboral y sus necesidades actuales. Hoy trabajamos, mi generación, por ejemplo, es una generación que trabaja con un valor muy alto hacia el trabajo per se. El millennial tiene un valor al propósito y a otro tipo de cosas, y el centennial tiene un valor libertario diferente, ¿no es cierto? Y para todos ellos tenemos que poder adaptar nuestras condiciones culturales laborales, y para eso tenemos que tener la tecnología adecuada. Entonces, el cambio cultural viene desde el management, desde la transformación de la forma de pensar nosotros como protagonistas del manejo, y de saber ser líderes de tal manera de que podamos transmitir esa necesidad de cambio, ¿no es cierto?, de una forma horizontal, abierta y mostrando valor. Para mí siempre va a haber una ecuación de valor, donde te conviene o te sirve a ti, funcionario amigo, en el equilibrio de tu vida, en la productividad de tu vida y en los beneficios que te trae también a nivel económico, a nivel de tiempo, a nivel de descanso, de familia, etc. Esa es la forma que hemos enfrentado. Como dije al principio, vamos a ver si funciona. Estamos en ello y creemos que hay que evolucionar cada día, hay que ir evolucionando y cambiando las estrategias para que funcionen.
No,
And
and this
if
is
I
a
can add, sorry, Karina.
Go ahead.
if I can add just one more thing, I think the challenge we have here, Gabriel, also is how to translate the need. It's the same as we say consumer or customer centricity. We have to think about internally also how to translate the need of bringing innovation or a new technology or a big change for those areas. So if they understand the value, they will engage. If not, they will be maybe a cultural block because they will asking themselves, why should we change the things, no? Right? So that's very important. I love it, the way that Gabriel brought the need to hear the internal people and to understand their needs.
Excellent. No, and that's a continuous process, right? Innovation, digital transformation, it's certainly not a one-off, right? This is something continuous, and your organization needs to be able to capture these new ideas and the new innovation and run with it, right? So that it's really taken care of. So taking this segue, has the process, the DigiPharma engagement, led to any changes in the way the organization is structured? And what are the impacts of this digital transformation process on the approach to remote work, to employee productivity, workforce development, right? I think Gabriel started touching upon this point, but I wanted to be a bit more specific about whether you have been changing something in the organization and how it's been changing the impact directly on the employee productivity and the approach to workforce development. You want to start, Erika?
Yeah, I can do it then. I was thinking about this question because it's very challenging. Also, when we talk about the way we work, I mean, since the COVID, that moment that we want to forget, we have implemented then the remote work, that's for sure. But talking about more specific on the tools and the changes we have in the day by day. A good example is we have implemented digital tool for the sales force. That's one of the biggest part of our operation when we talk about the number of people working on Salesforce. And for them was very important to be even more strategic and having more agility, bringing the response to the doctors and to react to the market challenges and movements, right? So implementing a new digital tool, it was important also to connect different areas. So this change was very challenging because a lot of people were already, how can I say, sorry, I just forgot the word, but it's just saying that they had a technology before that was working, but bringing a new, it was a lot of complexity because we are talking about the revenue and all KPIs that will impact bonus and other payments, right? So the process was really hard, a little bit just like 1 year for implementation, but now we have a very powerful tool that we connect the data we have from audit and also all the thing live from the Salesforce people at the same time. So marketing and also innovation, digital innovation, other areas can react much faster. This was really important to us. And I do believe we are trying to track the evolution also with our key stakeholders, in this case, our clients and customers as the doctors, to understand if the relationship it's even better, because we are bringing maybe all the scientific papers much faster. We are bringing the response on products and information much faster now because of this specific tool. Also, as I told before, we are trying to understand the needs for each one of the areas. And when we talk about the efficiency, is just before implementing any technology, we hear first from our internal clients their needs and their troubles and their what they are looking for. And then we try to connect with the best solution. But before implementing, we already we do a kind of business plan. So we are not having this heavy perception of every time that I invest in something, I will have the pressure to bring the results. So we try to do it before, or with the innovation pathway of trying something in 3 months with a very smaller investment, if it's okay, and if we bring the KPIs we have then planned before, then we scale those solutions, right? So we are doing much more than before, because those kind of agile process and agile thinking is more alive at the company. It's not 100% people, it's just a process, but I can see the evolution the last 2 years after the DigiPharma also. And this discussion and the communication, as I told you before, is doing this movement. So people are more open and looking for a new solution. They really want to do it. Before that, we were the department that we were looking for people to make projects with us. So now it's all the way around. So other challenge that we, not challenges, sorry, other change we are trying to implement also are bringing people from different areas to be the innovation champion, for example. We have some, but not in all the areas. I think my dream, I aim for the next years. So we have digital and innovation champions in all departments. So then we could say we have a 100% digital culture at the company. So it's an evolution we aim to implement.
No, very glad to see that this is working progressively, and that the staff is kind of acquiring more ownership of these processes and bringing in new ideas. So this is amazing to see that happening. How about you, Gabrielle? Have you made any change to your organization, and how do you see the direct impact so far on the way that people work and interact?
A ver, yo creo que hay algunas cosas importantes a tomar en cuenta. Primero, como les había dicho, sí hay un inicio de del proceso de los cambios, ¿no? En DigiPharma nos habían sugerido algunos pasos. Ese paso primero era, por ejemplo, tener la integración de un equipo de Business Intelligence, por ejemplo, que primero se centralizaba y después se expandía hacia cada una de las áreas. Eso está pasando realmente. Primero, el técnico de TI dejó de ser un técnico que vive debajo de la grada en un lugar húmedo al lado de los servidores y empezó a ser protagónico, empezó a ser un gerente importante. O sea, recuerden que estamos en una etapa inicial.
Qué alegría,
Después, la tecnología dejó de ser nada más un cable o una computadora y se convirtió en un software, y esto, como les había comentado antes, se vuelve parte del valor de la compañía porque a todos nos beneficia. En la tercera parte, como les había comentado, hay empresas de nuestra compañía que tienen mayor celeridad tecnológica que otras, ¿no es cierto? Pero en esencia, lo que más ha pasado es que se mueve, los intereses, por ejemplo, de información se mueven transversalmente, los intereses de desarrollo en cuanto a herramientas tecnológicas se mueven transversalmente y apoyan en distintos puntos. Por ejemplo, no sé, un portal que se desarrolla para que las farmacias puedan pedir medicamentos especiales controlados como psicotrópicos, por ejemplo, es tan viable para una farmacia independiente como para nuestras cadenas de farmacia. Entonces se mueve transversalmente y de esa manera es importante para todos. Creemos bueno, la pandemia nos dejó muchas cosas. Sin embargo, nosotros antes de pandemia, ya al tener operaciones en todo Centroamérica y el Caribe, teníamos un trabajo remoto como parte de nuestra normalidad. Ahora, el desarrollo ya dentro del headquarter de un trabajo remoto cada vez se va haciendo más fácil. Tenemos, como parte de la cultura, tenemos un par de días de trabajo remoto en la gran mayoría de las posiciones. Todavía estamos intentando ver cómo lo evaluamos. Eso le pasa mucho a las compañías. Somos híbridos, pero no sabemos cómo evaluamos productividad, ¿no es cierto? Pero el desafío cultural es, como decía Erika, quizás lanzarlo y después corregirlo. Es intentar acomodar el cambio en el camino. Entonces, sin duda, nos está cambiando la transformación digital, nos está cambiando también la forma de hacer transversalmente. Recuerden que al ser un grupo de muchas empresas, nosotros tenemos un back office corporativo que es un shared services, ¿no es cierto? En ese sentido, también esa transversalidad ayuda muchísimo en la gestión del back office, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, cosas que antes se trabajaban como islas, cada vez más van tendiendo puentes también a través de este proceso, que como dije en un inicio es un proceso de transformación cultural basada en tecnología que al final acaba siendo una transformación digital. Creo yo que cada vez hay una conciencia más clara de que el propio ser humano, ojo, no es nuestra empresa, no es simplemente nosotros, realmente la empresa que no se sube a esto realmente se va a quedar atrás en el pasado, porque ahora el mismo ser humano entiende que debe tener tecnología que ayude a facilitar su vida. Todos tenemos una IA en nuestro teléfono, todos tenemos redes, todos tenemos herramientas para la vida personal, no se diga dentro de una empresa. Entonces, lo que sí ha pasado es que hemos ido adaptando nuestro trabajo a herramientas que nos permiten fusionar esas islas en servicios mucho más comunes que por supuesto, nos operativizan mucho más y hasta ahora nos han empezado a rentabilizar mucho con ahorros, y eso es verdad, y a encontrar un talento que puede servir a más de una empresa, ¿no es cierto? Eso está muy bueno. Es paso a paso, son baby steps, pero creemos que es la forma no estamos tan apurados, pero sí vamos deprisa, porque entendemos que deben ser pasos firmes. Eso es,
Right.
Karina.
Now, that's a very great point, Gabriel. The question is not, should we do it? The question is that we need to do it. The question is how, right? So definitely it's important to have a strategy and to go, and there is still a component of iterating, right? And prueba y error. So you test and then you correct and then you go back. It's also part of the process, and this is normal. Now, talking about tools, data, and technology, which I think is an important, certainly not the only component, but an important component. I wanted to hear from you a little bit about what are the main technologies or trends that you see as the most impactful. I think the two of you briefly touched upon artificial intelligence as being one of the solutions that you're using. So just to understand whether this is the technology or trend that you see as being more impactful or whether there are others, as well as how you're leveraging data for business decisions, right? And it goes a little bit together. Right, I understand that one of the discussion we had with both of you in the context of the DigiPharma was, do we want to make sure that our decisions are informed by data, in which case we need to have good data, good quality data, easily accessible and reliable, right? So is it something that you have started doing? How are you using data for decision making? And what are the other technologies and trends that you think are very impactful for you in this process? Sorry for the long question.
No problem. And Gabriel, if you want to add anything, just please interrupt me so we can just share with each other. With the data, about the data-driven strategy, we are giving our steps on this. After DigiPharma, so the last 2 years, what we have been putting a lot of effort is having a data lake and trying to solve this topic that I think is very common in all the companies, having a unique source of data. This is the first step, very important. So everyone has the same data from the same source. And then for sure, we have a lot of parallel initiatives going on. That's important to have those data organized so we can extract then the insights from those data. So for example, we have implemented one of the digital tools for patients. No? In this specific case, how we can use those data and put this data together with all our marketing strategy so we can better understand patient behavior and how to organize this data so we can extract the insights from them. So we are just trying to organize this strategy. It's a lot of investment. It's something, is a strategy for sure for the long term, but we are giving our steps, prioritizing each one of those specific initiatives. So we do have very ambitious vision on data, but we are just organizing ourselves, putting a very strong and robust data lake, and then we are going to start. Something very important also is everyone is working with technology on the company, even though it's a very normal technology or something very innovative. And what we are trying to do is to concentrate those decisions with the data department also engaged on those initiatives. So we can, from scratch, already start something organizing this data in one data lake. So it's something that we are doing with data, but we have a lot to do still. From the trends and technology, we talked a lot about the technology to bring efficiency to our operation, even though the sales force or operation production or the other departments at the company. What I want to bring to you is something we have seen at the corporate venture capital and also innovation when we talk about the trends and the emerged technology. What we aim as an ambition for the next years is to bring the technology from inside out, how we can use artificial intelligence, for example, to accelerate the drug discovery or to optimize our clinical trials, because we do know it's a lot of investment on clinical trials. And if we do so, then we can also have even more innovation on P&G, right? So it's something we are really trying to track those trends. Big data and real world evidence, we know that is something much advanced maybe in US, but something we are bringing to Latin America also to leverage all the data sets we have through the wearables or patient data, and how we can use this as intelligence to personalize our treatments is something for the future. I told you about the digital therapeutics. What is that? No? It's just to integrate a software designed solution to complement a treatment you already have, a traditional treatment. No? I mean, to enhance then the patient outcome. That's something we are really looking for on the corporate venture capital initiatives and open innovation. We have also, when we talk about the telemedicine, why not have an Internet of Medical Things, connecting the medical devices and sensors to remote patients. When we think about the challenge we have in Brazil, in Latin America, about the accessibility of health, this is something very important. If we can bring this technology to give access of doctors for the patients, why not? Or treatments, this would be great. And for sure, personalized medicine, I think that's the dream of all pharma. How can I deliver for Karina, for example, in a specific dose of treatment for you specific, the way you have your lives, how you engage, if you do sports or not, for you is specific. Now, for your DNA is something we have been tracking on the market. A little bit from the trends.
A whole lot going on. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll go back to the startup and the corporate venture capital in a second. How about you, Gabriel? How is data informing your decision making, and how are you leveraging some of the key tools? I think you mentioned AI or as well previously. If you want to give more color on that and maybe a few examples.
Sí, bueno, importante. Yo creo que bueno, la IA está usándose en la industria de la salud en niveles, para mí, importantísimos. Lo que decía Erika, la innovación en el desarrollo de moléculas para curar enfermedades a nivel de Europharma o de la Big Pharma también es una cosa increíble, ahorrando procesos muy largos, es muy interesante. A nuestro nivel, en nuestra escala, que es una escala mucho más pequeña, la utilizamos, por ejemplo, en este momento ya para poder dar fuentes de información a nuestra visita médica en línea. Es importantísimo, como les decía, la visita médica en línea, nosotros somos un poco como innovadores a nivel regional al respecto, porque hay pueblitos donde hay médicos, donde no llega una visita médica. Entonces hacemos esta visita en línea, donde podemos llevar innovación también a ellos e información, y hay IA apoyando a esos visitadores médicos. Quisiéramos ser un poco más data-driven de lo que somos, sin embargo, usamos muchísimo la inteligencia de negocios para poder generar datos unificados y generar dashboards de toma de decisiones a nuestros gerentes, para decisiones estratégicas. Eso lo usamos continuamente todos los días de la vida, ¿no es cierto? Y también un poco entender dentro de lo que hacemos hoy día, ¿no es cierto? No sé si para la gente que está escuchando hay una comprensión de dónde estamos operando nosotros. Centroamérica, más allá de ser una cantidad de países, es una especie de archipiélago de países, ¿no es cierto? Son muchos países que cada uno tiene su realidad, su moneda, su política, su demanda, su forma de hacer las cosas, sus reguladores de medicamentos, su forma de hacer permisos de operación. Entonces, nosotros trabajamos allí, y el Caribe es igual. Entonces, el poder a través de la data concentrar la demanda, desarrollar entendimiento para poder hacer consolidación y generarle al laboratorio una idea clara. Porque para el laboratorio, por ejemplo, para un laboratorio de la India, para un laboratorio de España, para un laboratorio de Estados Unidos, quizás es un tema de que dicen, no puedo entender eso. O sea, en serio, son tantas realidades, hay tanta regulación, son tan diferentes, ¿no es cierto? Nosotros nos encargamos de todo, no se preocupen. Para los que están escuchando, no se preocupen, nos encargamos todo, pero la idea es poder concentrar eso, y eso solo a través de la data, solo a través del manejo de data, y muchas veces utilizamos IA para poder entender mejor esa data, para poder entender mejor esa demanda disímil, ¿no es cierto? Y bueno, lo demás, lo típico, los CRMs, manejar los procesos de registros sanitarios a nivel continente, a nivel Centroamérica, a nivel Caribe, poder entender los plazos de entregas, etcétera. Nosotros también somos un gran proveedor del Estado en Costa Rica, entonces entender los procesos estatales, entender todo esto, siempre está la tecnología apoyándonos. ¿Hacia dónde vamos? ¿Cuáles son las herramientas futuras? O sea, para mí, definitivamente, la IA como parte de las soluciones de encontrar valor dentro de trabajos repetitivos, encontrar valor de optimización, por supuesto, dentro de generar valor de ahorro para poder llegar a poblaciones más pequeñas, de poder tener optimización para entregar medicamentos a lugares más lejanos, poder tener claras las rutas. Nosotros ya usamos inteligencia ahorita para hacer rutas de entrega, por ejemplo, ya la usamos. Sin embargo, siempre se puede más. Con mejor inteligencia artificial, a lo mejor podemos llegar más allá, con mejores ahorros, entender la optimización de ese tipo de cosas. Es lo que viene. Definitivamente ni siquiera son cosas que aparentemente son trascendentales, pero si pensamos que a lo mejor utilizando eso, nuestros choferes van a poder descansar una hora más o van a poder tener un día libre más, o sea, eso le cambia la vida a ese chofer y a esa familia, y con esa familia cambia la vida de una sociedad. Entonces, definitivamente el futuro es ese. Creo que la IA, creo que la organización de mejores niveles de inteligencia de negocios a través de la transformación de la data y de la aportación de valor de la lectura de esa data. Eso es, Karina, el futuro para nosotros.
And I think this is a very compelling example you just gave, Gabriel, right? Because it doesn't need to be a very complex technology to have a huge impact. It doesn't need to be very complex or very expensive to have a huge impact. So being able to use simple data to plan better, either for the medical visitor at Europharma or for your driver, right? To make sure that, they can optimize the route, to make sure they really go when they need to go, where they need to go, is something that is very important. And the same to deal with different regulators. As you were saying, Central America is very unique, but I'm sure that on the line we have other colleagues working in environments where they operate in different countries or different states, where the tax environment is different, the regulatory environment is different, the norms are different. So certainly being able to leverage these tools to operate in these complex remote environments, I'm sure is very, very relevant and very interesting for most of the people on the line. So thank you so much for that. Then I wanted to move to a section around partnership and ecosystem. And I know that there is a question on the chat around the build or buy question, right? And the partner, I do it by myself or I partner with somebody, right? I think this is a question that comes to mind very, very often. So I wanted to hear a bit your experience around how you look at external partnerships or collaboration, whether it is with startups, other industry players, or technology vendors, right? And technology providers. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, Erica, and then I will pass it on to Gabriel to share his experience.
Okay. I think the question is very good because it's always an exercise we have to do. But the first thing I would do is just understand internally what kind of knowledge you have in place from your teams and so on. What we have done and what strategy we have in place in the last 7 years. We have an open innovation department where we have partnerships with hubs and university, startups, and technology vendors. And why? Because we recognize that we have a lack of knowledge inside the company. When I talk about technological developments and how to develop tools. So we don't have this knowledge inside. So that's why our strategy was, why not to partner with external institutions or companies and startups, so we can exchange also a lot of things. So we have some programs on accelerating in startups. We invest in some initiatives also, not just to absorb their knowledge, but also to exchange what we have as knowledge. So we exchange with those partners. So for us, it's very important having this. In our understanding, this was a strategy for Europharma because of our team structure, but it's always a question we need to do. When we evolve with this knowledge inside, maybe one or other initiative we are going to build inside the company. So it's always a question of ourselves in our company. And this right now, after 7 years, we have different channels to interact with external partners. So we have the open innovations, more a plug and play initiative, not just with startups, but with tech vendors, just to contract some services or tools. But we have also the corporate venture capital, where we really, as a single LP, we invest for long-term relationship with some startups specific in digital health, and we have other fund specific for biotech. And there we aim to have a strategical partnership. So we are not just looking for financial results, but how we can develop new solutions and new business together. And we have other channel, it's a new business channel. This is pretty new, not a 1 year here by Europharma, because we understood that some opportunities that came to us, it was not specific for investment or not specific to contract in a specific tool or solution, but something that we could licensing. Why now that we are not just in Brazil, but in the whole Latin America, and not putting a footprint in US, Africa, and other regions, why not be in the arms, the Salesforce arms for some solution in digital, so I can always also have some revenue through the digital solutions, right? So we are opening this new channel just to try a little bit new revenue channels for the company. So this is a little bit in a macro view how we have been partner with the ecosystem.
Excellent. Thank you, Erica. I don't know, Gabriel, briefly, and then we have the last 2 questions. But from your perspective, how do you make a decision as to you're going to develop something internally or buy and collaborate with somebody external? What are the key questions you ask yourself?
Bueno, yo debo decir que debería haber una clase en las universidades que se llame negocios de tecnología. O sea, cómo hacer un approach con un proveedor de tecnología. Creo que mucho cuando uno compra un software que generalmente cuesta algunos millones de dólares, hay un altísimo porcentaje de incidencia de fracaso, de decepción, de dolor, de odio, de rabia, de todo eso que viene, ¿no? Y mientras más cuesta, más dolor da. Yo creo que es porque definitivamente no hay un approach correcto. Nosotros desde esta compañía lo que hacemos es abrirnos, nosotros nos abrimos, tenemos relaciones con todos los proveedores que vienen hacia acá. En el caso último tenemos relaciones con SAP, tenemos relaciones con Oracle, tenemos relaciones con Microsoft, con muchos proveedores muy grandes, y los hemos escuchado a todos y los hemos llevado a un plano diferente. No estamos buscando proveedores, estamos buscando socios, aliados estratégicos, una relación de un nivel diferente. Si no nos sentimos en ese nivel, no contratamos. Vamos al siguiente, eso primero. Pero sí, en muchas de las veces preferimos comprar hecho que hacerlo nosotros. Por una simple razón, preferimos comprar curva de experiencia. Sabemos que no podemos demorarnos la vida entera intentando aprender algo que ya está aprendido, sobre todo en procesos básicos. Segundo, no nos cerramos a ningún startupper, abrimos las puertas a los startups, escuchamos, ustedes saben, todas las personas que nos oyen saben que hay un sinfín de startups que a uno le ofrecen cosas, los escuchamos a todos, vemos, encontramos valor o no encontramos valor y seguimos adelante o entramos más profundo. No nos cerramos, estamos abiertos siempre a escuchar. Y también dentro de la compañía tenemos un equipo de TI muy robusto que en algún momento decidió desarrollar algo, y también le damos la oportunidad. Sin embargo, siempre evaluando qué es lo que va a aportar valor. Ojo, ¿no? Es importantísimo entender que en procesos básicos a lo mejor uno quiere inventar lo que se suele decir el agua tibia, y eso ya está inventado. Hay grandes, buenas prácticas reportadas globalmente que uno a lo mejor no las tiene y puede aprenderlas rápidamente comprando una herramienta lista, ¿no es cierto? Cuando Erika hablaba de la optimización de recursos y de la rentabilidad, es eso, o sea, es entender que a lo mejor cuesta un poco más ahora, pero te va a rentabilizar muchísimo porque vas a evitarte una curva de aprendizaje muy grande. Pero en otras cosas, también la innovación requiere hacerlo tú mismo. Cuando tienes una idea diferente, bueno, hay que probarlo, hay que intentarlo. Estamos súper abiertos a eso. Sin embargo, sí, una cosa que me gustó mucho de Europharma, y debo confesarlo en su momento cuando los conocí hace un par de semanas, fue el hecho de que en innovación ellos se ponen una meta de innovación más una meta de facturación a cortísimo plazo. Entonces, eso es importante. O sea, desde mi posición en la compañía, quieres innovar, perfecto, tienes 2 años y rentabiliza. Entonces, es importante entender que puedes desarrollarlo, pero tiene que traerte el ROI inmediatamente, ¿no es cierto? Con el plazo adecuado, por supuesto. Entonces, estamos abiertos a ambas cosas. Sin embargo, sí creemos que en procesos básicos es mejor comprarlo hecho y no mandarlo a hacer.
Perfect. No, and the cost of developing internally, as you said, you don't use the learning curve, and you need to update constantly and continue investing. Otherwise, your technology will become obsolete. So in some cases, it's better to hire a third party. Then you were talking also about the cost benefit, right? And this return on investment kind of analysis. So that takes me to the measuring success question. How do you measure success? What are the KPIs that you're using currently? In the context of the DG Pharma and the implementation plan, we jointly did some of these cost benefit analyses to help the companies prioritize some of the initiatives that are profitable, that have low-hanging fruits, right? And we suggest some KPIs to track progress in the journey. I was wondering for you, Erika, and for you, Gabriel, what are the main specific KPIs that you feel are more useful for you to track success in your digital transformation? And what are those?
I think from our sides, to be very to the point, the efficiency in operations, because even though we have the challenge here, because when we put the KPIs in place, we had different managers right now, so change management. So that's very important to align with the top management, so we have a more long-term view on that. But even though they are quite different, they are still bringing clarity on the results. So when we talk about something implementing the operations, it's something and more in a short short term to see the results. So for us, for sure, the operations.
How about you, Gabriel? What do you think are the main KPIs that you're using for your analysis and your tracking? And I know it's a
Bueno,
broad one.
dependiendo de qué estamos hablando, ¿no? En el caso de implementación de tecnologías, por ejemplo, tecnologías ya implementadas, sus KPIs operativos normales, por ejemplo, en planificación de rutas y desarrollo de optimización de rutas, optimización de combustible, desarrollo de menos kilómetros, desarrollo de tiempo recorrido, manejo de tráfico, etcétera. Por ejemplo, en predicción de demanda, el poder tener compras más asertivas, mejor rentabilidad, el bajar el nivel de stock out en farmacias y ese tipo de cosas. En proyectos de implementación, bueno, usamos Agile, usamos Scrum y los KPIs son los entregables de cada sprint. Estamos caminando hacia KPIs más transversales en la organización. Te pongo el ejemplo, nos hemos llenado de KPIs el 24 y el 25 vamos a los simples. es evolutivo también, aprendimos eso también con DigiPharma, el hecho de que no necesitas medir todo cuando no vas a poder hacerlo. Entonces, estamos mediando hacia KPIs más simples en el 25 que nos permitan tener transversalidad. Recuerda, son 14 empresas, entonces es difícil medir la transversalidad. Sin embargo, hay KPIs operativos importantes en cada una de las áreas. Creo yo que en este punto de nuestra implementación, tanto en la parte cultural como en la parte tecnológica, es que hay unos entregables específicos, hay unos indicadores específicos que tienen cada uno de los sprints, que es lo que más estamos evaluando en este momento, que es otra vez inicial. ¿Sí? Recordemos, pasamos por DigiPharma, nos evaluaron, estamos en una etapa inicial, estamos implementando, tenemos muchas herramientas digitales, sin embargo, nos sentimos iniciales, entonces estamos empezando con esta cultura nueva.
No, and I think it's a very fair point. In some cases, less is more, and the transversal KPIs help you capture the fact that this is not about one team. This is not about the IT guy. This is something that is across the organization. So it makes sense to have a simpler but broader KPI. So I think it's also a key learning here. Very last question before we wrap up, and I wanted to pick your brain on what would be the advice you would give to leaders who are listening to us, operating in different parts of the pharmaceutical industry. So any recommendation you would like to give them for those of us who want to undertake this digital transformation journey, and anything you would have done differently?
The last question, they are always very challenging because it depends on the background and so on, right? But I would say something that's the two questions in one, something that I would do differently and also something that could be an advice. First of all, invest time on planning. Bring the people in the table to engage, not just the top management, but try to do the communication to all the company. So it's not about any specific project for the digital department or digital team. This is something much bigger. This is a project for the company as a whole. Try to translate the benefits for each one of your clients so they can better understand why to engage, and the engagement will be almost automatically when they understand the value that we will create for each one of them. And bring initiatives of collaboration. So this is very important because, for example, when we define the KPIs, this is something I would invest time on this because, as Gabriel already said, there is some initiatives that's not very clear how to extract the specific KPI for that implementation. Because when we talk about, for example, the operation, as I told you, that's working very well, there are a lot of other layers of technology and other teams engaged, how you can extract exactly the results from this specific technology implemented, right? So investing time on that and having the alignment with all the people is very important, so you can celebrate after the implementation. It's no doubt afterwards. And I would say empower the teams to understand how important it is. And if you have the planning already set, just like a digital vision, and having this track for example, here we have every 3 months, we are just tracking all the initiatives connected with the vision. This is very important also, this governance, to show the evolution of everything we have invested on those initiatives, right?
So, thank you, Erika. Gabriel, last word as we wrap up around your advice to the leaders and anything you would have done differently. Would you still have worked with us on the DigiPharma?
Bueno, a ver, yo si estamos hablando de la industria farmacéutica, tengo algunos comentarios. El primero, felicidades. Siéntanse satisfechos porque estamos trabajando por la salud de los seres humanos y de los animales, y eso es importantísimo. Primero esto, siéntanse satisfechos de su trabajo porque estamos trabajando por la vida. Primero. Segundo, no pueden avanzar si no saben dónde están. Digifarma en eso fue protagónico en nuestro proceso. Necesitas saber dónde estás. Para eso un día y hacia dónde debes ir es vital. Entonces mi consejo 1 es debes saber dónde estás. El consejo número 2, la tecnología no transforma a las personas. Las personas deben ser cambiadas en su cultura para aceptar la tecnología. Es importantísimo que pienses que tu talento humano debe aceptar un cambio cultural para poder adoptar la tecnología, si no, no va a funcionar. Entonces, trabaja con tus personas y no solo compres software. Tercero, las implementaciones siempre van a doler. Siempre van a doler. Entonces, tienes que trabajar muchísimo en la gestión del cambio, la gestión de la implementación. Cuarto, esto es error y volver, error y volver. No te decepciones, no te caigas. El crecer es valentía, el crecer es inteligencia, el crecer es planificar, como decía Erika, es ejecutar, es medir, es volver a empezar, es medir, es volver a medir, a empezar. Que si volvería a tener una asesoría con DigiPharma, por supuesto que sí, Karina. Ese fue el inicio de nuestro cambio. Yo debo decir, justo cuando terminaba cuando estaba casi terminando la implementación de DigiPharma, entré yo a manejar este grupo corporativo. Y fue un alivio el tenerlos como aliados en esta parte, porque cuando yo llegué a transformar el grupo entero después de 40 años de éxito. Entonces, transformar con ustedes de la mano fue sin duda más fácil. Así que claro que sí.
Muchísimas gracias, Gabriel. Thank you so
Bueno.
much, everyone. I wanted to thank particularly my two panelists here who are absolute rock stars. So I wanted to thank you very much, Erika and Gabriel. I think you've been amazing. So I was very honored to moderate this panel. So thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you also to all the people who have been connecting to the webinar. The recording will be available. We've been trying to address all your questions. If there are any remaining questions, we'll be happy to answer to them offline. And please take a few minutes just to fill in the survey on exit. It's very important for us to understand your degree of satisfaction and any feedback you would like to give us. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day, afternoon, evening, and looking forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gracias, un gusto. Gracias a todos.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, Gabriel.